Friday, January 21st, 2022. I just woke up from crashing on the couch at my sister's house and had the realization that last year was the first time I've ever felt like I wasn't falling behind. Now, 21 days into the new year, I don't feel like that anymore. Great. Awesome. It's almost like I've been doing a good job convincing myself that this is all just a part of the plan. And what I know is that there's never really been a plan here.
My mom always used to say, if you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans. And lately I've been giving God something new to laugh about almost every week. I know I'm not alone in this feeling that everyone around me is moving at breakneck speeds while I'm barely showing signs of life. But for whatever reason, every shot I've taken up until this point has felt like a miss. This way of thinking really is a slippery slope because the more I indulge it, the harder it becomes for me to think about anything else. Forget about any progress or achievements because someone younger and smarter than me has already done more than I ever will. And maybe the worst part of all is that this attitude really is somehow contagious. You know what I mean if you've ever spent time around someone that acts like a victim to their circumstance. It can be really difficult to feel like you're not getting dragged down to their level. And while I wouldn't categorize these feelings as healthy, I do think they're natural. Something that everyone has felt or will feel in their lifetime. I also think they're feelings that can be overcome. I make this 300-mile drive between where I live and where my family is quite a few times in a month. I've made this drive so many times that I kind of have these ritualistic stops I make along the way, and one of the newest ones is there's a scenic overlook, and in the trees here there is this, I don't know, sort of memorial. I don't know if it specifically is a memorial or if it's just some flowers someone left out here, but I think I like stopping at this one because it's just a really good reminder that you kind of only get one shot at this, and whether you achieve a lot or a little, the end is the same. And ultimately, you know, it's pretty beautiful. I was debating whether or not I could lift that rock. And well, I guess you could say I taught myself a lesson. When I was growing up, probably a mile away from my childhood home was this hill that I used to climb all the time. And it was cool because I could look off one side of it and see my high school and where I got my first job and sort of the downtown area. And on the other side of the hill, I could see my house and the trees surrounding my yard. And in a lot of ways, that's the biggest similarity between where I grew up and where I live now. I have this amazing little hillside here where I can look out and see basically everything in town. So for example, if I pointed over here, I can see my university. That's where I went to college. And if I pan just a tiny bit over, I can see the first place I ever lived alone. Then just over here, sort of on the horizon where the trees end, is where after college, I didn't have a job and I didn't have anywhere to live, and I did this sort of impromptu version of van life, and I used to park just basically right over there. You know, it's a pretty special gift to look out over this town and be able to read it like a book. Like I can see where chapters of my life took place. And I think the reason that specifically is so special to me is because I've actually read a book. And what I learned is that usually plotline is advanced through conflict by action. When I sit up on the hill and contemplate the bullet points of my life and how I got from one to the next, I often notice that the times I don't feel like I'm falling behind are the result of me taking action on the conflict that's occurring on my everyday life. It's usually when I'm just actually doing something. When I do feel like I'm falling behind, there's a very familiar sense of apathy or laziness, or just letting everyday life beat the shit out of me. I believe that I am capable of changing my life.
And I believe the same about you. You know, this thing ends the same way for all of us. So there's really no use in wasting time on comparisons or measurements. But at the same time, this life is incredible, and I think it's worth the effort.